what made you, so you wanted to learn this song. What made you seek mine out? Because there's other people teaching this. There's other ways to do it. What's the one thing that you like that made you say, I want to try
Well,
this guy?
there are a couple things that drew me to reach out to you to go to your website. One, you just have a friendly demeanor about it. There are people that just play it. They
Yeah.
watch me play. Look how great I am. Okay, that's right. You have your keynotes and your whiteboard approach up there, and you play through it, and then you break it down piece by piece into these manageable, consumable chunks, which I found very helpful.
Yeah.
Third is you just have this very friendly demeanor. I mean, you're like the piano teacher that is you want to learn from. Not someone with a rule. I had one as a kid with a ruler. Yeah, get your
Yeah, whack. They really did hit us, by the way. If
you
anybody's
see.
watching this, they did hit us with those rulers.
And then when I went on the website, and there's a library there that you have in an approach, and I pulled down the charts, like, you know what, this would be a fun way. I think I can learn this way, and so that's why I'm here.
Well, great. That's wonderful to hear that from somebody who's just new with me. If I'm friendly and all, it's because I love what I'm doing. I truly love this. I mean, I have the best job in the world. I'm getting to learn all this wonderful music and teach it to everyone. I'm a teacher at heart, and I'm getting to hear all these wonderful success stories of people. And when we have time, I'll tell you some of those. They're incredible. But
Great.
yeah, one of them is I got to tell you just a piece of one. If you look at have you seen the Randall Wallace interview I did? He's the screenwriter for Braveheart and Pearl
Hmm.
Harbor and The Man in the Iron Mask and lots of big other blockbuster movies. But he's also a songwriter. He's done so many things, and he's also a member of the site. And he had a great thing with his hand. He almost lost his right hand, and he used piano. That's how he found me. But he used piano as a recovery and a celebration of keeping his right hand and being able to play piano. But it's a neat thing. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But anyway, I got another guy coming up here. I'm gonna have to get ready
Yeah,
for.
great.
And what we'll do is my son will send you an email. And if you wouldn't mind, we're going to put a Google link there. The the Google reviews help my SEO tremendously, and I'm trying to build my business finally. I've never worked on it in 18 years, finally doing that. But the business coaches are telling me, you got to get these Google reviews. You just take a second. If you wouldn't mind just saying some of the things you just said and write that in the Google review, just take a minute. And then he'll also give you some times for next week, and we'll start this Jungle Land, and we'll tackle it, and we'll do it, brother.
Yeah, we're gonna shoot for the Rangers had a homecoming in Harlem late last night. Get
All
there.
right. Excellent. Well, it's
All
nice
right.
meeting you, Rip. We'll
Thank
we'll
you so much.
send you an email and be in touch next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, I usually send them right before, because
I
if I send
see.
them earlier and we accidentally have the Zoom on, I have kids and stuff going on here, and somebody could come on and so just to be safe, I just send it a couple of minutes before. But how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful.
You
Thanks
having time?
for taking the call and for this meeting. I'm not at my keyboard right now because I thought this was just a launch meeting. I didn't
Yeah,
want
that's
to.
what it is.
I wasn't gonna be ready to rehearse for you yet to show you what I got. But
Sure.
uh,
Yeah, we just get going here and kind of discuss things. Well,
great.
I'm curious, how long have you known about me? How did you find my lessons? How long has it been?
So about you, about a week.
Oh, that's it.
So
Okay.
I took piano lessons when I was a child, I think starting at 4. And I was a child concert pianist, and I played at the
Uh,
Kennedy Center and all around the DC area. And for a
wow.
little kid sitting on telephone, the yellow pages,
Yes.
I was pretty good. And then I ended up going to high school, and for some reason, maybe my parents, breaking up or something, I took up the trombone, which was a
Uh-huh.
terrible idea for a scraggly little pimple-faced kid to blow out his cheek like that.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and then I went to college and like started strumming guitar, and then since I've just mostly been singing in a lot of kind of rock cover bands and things like that, and writing my stuff along the way.
Okay.
But I've always kept up the piano, although it's a little rusty in terms of my ability to read it and jump back in. But two things have kind of happened
Okay.
after a long career in tech, and I live in San Francisco, but also a place in Nashville, Tennessee. Long story about that.
Okay.
I finally got around to doing my own album, which is releasing at the end of the year. It's a country rock album where a lot of the songs that I've written on piano, I have a full band of studio musicians, and we're releasing that, which is great fun. Yeah, super excited
Wow.
about.
Well, a lot of people are going to see this, so go ahead and tell them how they can listen to that. Can
Oh, okay. Well, it's not out yet.
Okay.
Uh but the album is called Three Chord Town, and you can sign up today to get the pre-release information on my website, which is www.ripgerber.com. And very excited about that first project of mine.
That's
Uh,
incredible. How many
but
songs are on it?
there'll be nine that'll be coming out. I'm in the mastering phase now, so in this process, for those of you that do record, if you go into studio, a lot of times you'll go in with your charts, maybe a demo song, and the band, usually studio musicians who, like in Nashville, are just absolutely off the charts, amazing. You'll go in and record the foundational instruments, and then you'll come back in another time and record the final vocals over that
Right.
mix. And then you go into the mastering stage, and then nowadays you need to get these online on places like Apple and Spotify. So you'll do that. So I'm in the process of finishing up that production, which is
Wow.
great.
Well, my
But
son
the
is looking up your stuff right now, and
oh, is it
he's kind of
great?
like my little, like Joe Rogan has his guy on the, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Wow.
Oh,
So
great.
so
Well,
what took why did it take this long for you to put an album out? I'm sure you wanted to do it earlier.
it's one of those, it's something about the creative process, as you probably know, when you start to write or play your own pieces, you end up being your worst critic, and it's
Yeah.
just never good enough. You always hear something or think of something like, I can make that a little better, a little bit
Yeah.
better. And you need some focused time to just say, you know what, this is really good as it is. Let
Uh-huh.
me focus on that and build it out. And as I had a career, building up and selling technology companies
Uh-huh.
in the Bay Area, I just didn't have the time to really sit back and really focus on getting that creation ready. It was always, nights and weekends, and
Yeah.
when I had some time, if there was a piano in the hotel, in a room, a conference, I would just go and play it and work on it. But now that I've retired, I'm on, as they say, the back nine
Okay.
in life. I'm focusing on the passion projects and spending more time on doing it, and it's been great fun. So my
Wow.
advice would be, if you have the song in you, something that you want to play, whatever genre, whatever you do, get it out there and do it, and you will find great joy and in a longer health span if you do.
Yes. My great regret, Rip, is I wrote a lot of things, but I would not record them because like you said, I didn't think they were good enough. But then I remember some of it. I'm saying, that was pretty good, and I wished I would have had done it anyway, just to have it, just so I would have a record of all the things I've written. I do have some, but I'd love to have everything that I wrote because Paul McCartney makes a point of that. Whatever comes to him, he'll record it just to have it, just to give honor to that creative moment that he had. I'm curious because I did the classical thing growing up. In fact, I did it longer. I went to college, was a classical pianist, was studying to be in the Van Cliburn International Piano Competition. When I finally, just kind of put that aside and started looking at, rock music and so forth. But what did you play when you were a kid? I'm curious because I had to do the same thing, and I'm just wondering what you played.
Well, I started out with a dozen a day, if you
Uh,
remember those books, which are
yes, I
just
do the
lessons,
blue with the stick figures on them.
stick figures, and became a master at those. Just whipped through those books. A
Yeah.
child prodigy at a dozen a day, but it was your basic, Bach and your Beethoven and Mozart from classical perspective, and they would get more and more complicated as I got older. I never hit Rachmaninoff. I never got that
Yeah.
good, right? But and it was then there were some fun songs, just the patriotic songs and things like that you could learn. And then I started. This is now, I'm going back in the '70s. That's how old I
Okay.
am.
All right.
Going back into my parents' record collection, uh,
Yes.
and starting to play by ear, and like I would start playing like Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog by Three
Yeah.
Dog Night, and learn that by ear. So I end up being more of a less of a chart reader, a note reader, but more of
Yeah.
a by the ear read. And that's kind of how I learned. I'd hear a song and say, "Oh, let me figure out how I could play that." And then you learn chords and chord progressions and chord mixing, and then you learn verses and choruses and bridges, and that's kind of how it all came about.
Sure, my mom had my dad had an excellent record collection, and I used to listen to it as a kid. They bought me this little portable record player, and you can just open, it closed and open, looked like a little suitcase, and you could just open it up. And she one day got so mad because she wanted him to organize them again, and he wouldn't do it, so she just put them all out by the trash, and someone came and just picked them up, and we
Yeah.
lost the whole collection in one day from that. Anyway, I'm still trying to forgive her for that. No, I have, but I'd love to have those records again. But I did the same thing. I'm curious. You know that you telling me you use your ear and you listen and figure out things by ear. How is your note reading? Do you think you're a good note reader, an average note reader, or is it just really hard?
I'm an average note reader, but a slow one. It takes me a while, and I would say my because I haven't really focused on the language. It's like when you go to if you learned a little French in high school and you go back to France after a couple of days, you could speak better French than if you're at home, right? So you have to immerse yourself in actually looking at the notes, and I find sometimes, and maybe some of your other students are like this as well. I get frustrated and I want to play the song faster. So
Yep.
I'll just dive into the chords. I'll go on
Right.
Ultimate Guitar Tab or something like that, get the chords down, and I could play it and kind of sing it. And then when I pull down the full sheet music, like, oh, that's a little bit harder. And so I get a little lazy and I can bang out the chords and a little bit of melody on the right hand. But then I stop pushing myself to learn the actual music. And
Yeah.
that's how we actually met, or I found you. I
Okay.
have an opportunity to play one of my favorite songs in the whole world, maybe my top 10 rock songs
Okay.
in the whole world, which I've loved, especially the live version of this
Yeah.
song. And
And we're talking
I
about
pulled
Jungle
down
Land,
the
right?
we're talking about Jungle Land
Okay.
by Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and
Yeah.
Roy's piece on that. And I pulled that down, say, yeah, I could play that. I've heard it so many times, and the whole. And then I pull down the sheet music, and I'm like, oh no, this is a little bit harder. He's got everything going on there. That guy can play piano.
Yeah.
How am I going to learn this? There's
Uh-huh.
there's no way I'm gonna who how do you play this song? And I typed in Jungle Land, Bruce
Uh-huh.
Springsteen, learned to play it on the piano. Bam. Yeah, I saw your video and
Okay.
your charts. I've never seen charts like that
Yeah.
done. I followed that. It's like, well, that's an interesting way to learn it, and that's a more conducive way for me than just taking down the sheet music and kind of dank, 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 and
Yeah.
doing this hand and this hand come together. You kind of have a flow. You're kind of like in between my rudimentary way of just learning it by ear,
Yeah.
and the final way.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's why I reached out and signed up for a subscription on your site. And I thought maybe this will be I could finally learn this song.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I'll just say this, it's a little bit like having a personal trainer. Like
Okay.
if you have a personal trainer, you tend to go to the gym a little bit more and work out
Right.
because you've got someone
Accountability.
else writing you accountability, and you end up you don't want to let that teacher down, so to speak. So you are going to practice and do your dozen a day. So that's the other reason why I'm here. I'm afraid that in the next and I have like a 6 month. I think in 6 months I want to learn how to play the song. I want to be able to do Roy's part, and on top
Okay.
of that, I'm going to try to sing part of it while I'm playing. We'll
Yeah.
see how
Oh,
that
wow.
goes.
So
But
what is this for?
but I
What is this for? Is this for a particular performance that you're
it,
going to do? You're preparing for?
there's an opportunity to perform this for a bunch of friends coming up in about 6 months, but it's really for me. It's one of those
Okay.
songs that I've always wanted to learn how to play, and I
Yeah.
thought this is the time, to do it. And it's like now or never, and so it's aspirational. That's why I have this background of this concert hall. It's aspirational.
Yeah.
And I do believe that if you set a target and you really believe that you can hit it, those positive intentions and those thoughts will help you get through it. Even when you hit those spots in the song where like there's no way I can reach that chord or hit those notes.
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
And there's always little ways to simplify it just a little bit, and no one will even know. A lot
Well,
of times.
I noticed that actually, Sean, about the way when I first heard you play it, I said that sounds exactly the same. Yeah, that's great. But it's not exactly the same, but it sounds almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Only someone like Roy bless his soul might note that it's not exactly the same. But it's like, you know what? That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, well, there you're very new to my lesson, so that I kind of remember that. It feels like you're one of my longtime customers, but I have guys just like you, typically, very successful, highly intelligent, think outside the box type of people, entrepreneurial spirit, that were bad note readers. And mainly it's because your ear was so good, you used that strength. And so the sight reading suffered because you were using your strength. The teacher didn't realize you weren't really reading the music, and then it compounds. So I hear that story over and over again. So that's kind of
Well, you got
why that happens.
3 out of 5 right on that. I don't know about the highly intelligent part. I mean, like, I'm taking on this
Okay.
project, but I'm yeah, there is maybe in your students some commonality, and I think with all of them, we want to be able to play this song because there's something about it that just touches us. And it's at least for me, it's a dream to be able to perform that because to me, like love and math, music is a universal language, and if I could
Oh, sure.
express that, wow, I would just feel so happy about it. And my mom would love it. My mom would absolutely.
There you go. There's a big reason. Well, and what I was getting to is that some of my members have been with me for 15 years, 10 years. In fact, someone yesterday was just 3 years. I said, "Oh, that's not very long." But now, just someone a week and a half or whatever, with you. But what people usually end up on my stuff because they like the tablature way because that immediately clicks for them, other than note reading. That's one of the reasons. And the other is that the arrangements. Now, like I say, I'm not perfect, but I like to get as close as humanly possible to what the artist is actually playing. And I'll tell you, for that particular song, the greatest compliment, I think I've already told you this, but I'm going to tell it for all the other viewers. The greatest compliment I've ever gotten musically is from Nils Lofgren. He is Bruce
Hmm.
Springsteen's longtime guitar player, friend of Roy Bittan, and they played together forever. And he contacted me because he's also a piano player. He's kind of a guitar player that also plays piano, but he's not bad on piano, and he wants my arrangement to do it. And so I'm helping him actually to get it with my sheets and with because there's a ton of lessons on it. Because it's so long, and that was the greatest compliment to me. I'm one contact away from Roy himself. So that's that's really cool.
Well,
But he
congratulations on
himself
that.
is.
So now you're putting the pressure on me. I'm gonna have to like catch up to see if I can do it like
Well,
Niels.
there's pressure on me. I mean, this guy's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's such a nice guy, and he's not full of himself, and like a lot of people you find. He just loves music, and he's a real down to earth guy, and he's going to do a Zoom call with me actually in a couple of weeks. I think he's working on a tour or something, but so that to me, musically, that was the greatest I mean, that's a mic drop for me to get that level. So I'm kind of nervous about talking to him. Anyway, so what we were going to do here is you had requested maybe some private Zoom lessons, and I thought, well, that would be great. And instead of charging you for it, if we could just record them, and then I could help you along, go one thing at a time, and I can give you some oversight because you can already play. You're not starting from ground zero. And if you were, I would recommend not starting with this one. This is a tough one. So that's what we're going to do, right? So we'll schedule this after this call, and then we'll record some lessons. What I'll probably do, see if this is okay with you, Rip. If like you work maybe on the first page or the first lesson, whatever that is, and then we can meet up, and then maybe you can demonstrate a little bit, play a little bit, and then I can maybe help add some comments. How do you feel about that?
So this is how the sausage is made, right? We're gonna go right into the deep underbelly of
Yeah.
how someone is going through this. So it might
Yes.
get a little messy.
That's
Uh,
okay. But I want people
and
to see that because it is messy and it is
yeah,
hard, and you are going to make mistakes, and you are going to hopefully you won't feel like you're embarrassed or anything. No one ever should be because we all start at zero. We're all trying to get better together. I mean, I'm going to have to work on this thing. I haven't played it forever, so I'm going to have to dust it off and look at it. But that's what I want people to see, and I feel like you'll be okay with that. Billy Joel's okay with that. He'll sit there and try to think of things and play on the spot and not be afraid to to make a mistake in front of people. And I love how he does that. So I've kind of adopted that for myself, and I hope everyone I teach would do that as well. But we can just, get into it. Whatever happens, happens. Don't edit it or anything. Just see what an actual lesson is like. See what an actual struggle, to learn something like this, and let
Actual
people see
stuff,
that.
a real
Yeah,
struggle. Yes. And if all
right.
of a sudden the feed cuts, oh, I have a Wi-Fi issue, stop the cameras. But
Yeah,
yeah, well, let's give it a shot. And that I think that will also help inspire me not to blunder too much, or at least practice before you film
yeah.
it. So
No,
happy to give it a shot. What's the worst that could
hey,
happen, right?
right. Hey, I used to, when I would record my part one lessons, if I wasn't exactly perfect, I'd do it again. And I'd do 25 takes. And then finally realized, people need to see that I mess up too, because I mess up all the time. I just keep going. And I'll point out my mistakes so people see that, and that kind of makes them feel more comfortable. Okay, I'm not holding myself to this super high standard, that the goal is not to miss any notes. The goal is to have fun and to play the music you love. So,
Well,
um,
let me ask you this then, as we
okay,
kind of get through this in this initial call here for the 20-30 minutes. Question for you. Okay, I've found a song that I want to learn how to play. I found the teacher to help me kind of go through this process.
okay,
I have a question on your charting, just as a new beginner, never seeing that, that style or
sure.
using that. And then, so the language that you use to teach and those charts that you create on the whiteboard, and then the process. So maybe you could just give me a high level overview of what to expect.
Yeah, well, so you haven't even got into it yet. Is that what you're saying?
No, not. I haven't even started on your charts yet. I've
Haven't even
started
started.
on
Okay.
a song in my own
Well,
way.
imagine if you had a sheet of regular music notation that we look at and go, "Oh my gosh, that's scary," uh, and and imagine I would go in and write a letter on every dot, whatever every note is, and then instead of writing, eighth notes or quarter notes, I would put a dash for duration of the note value.
Okay.
That's what it is. You pull that off, and that's pretty much what it is. It's just like regular notation, but there's no staff. It's still vertically read. The letter names are all the same. If there's a flat, I'll put a flat. Sharp, I'll put a sharp. And for rhythm's sake, this is what gets a lot of people is rhythms. But you guys tend to have really good ears, so the demonstration is kind of where you get the rhythm from. As I go through the measure and I play the rhythm of it, because sometimes vamping on a chord is something, a skill, not necessarily reading dots or letters on a page. You learn that skill of vamping, and you show someone how to do that, and they can do it for 8 measures instead of having to read dots for 8 measures. So
Mm.
it opens me up. Keeping the board simple, it opens me up to help you with rhythms instead of having to read a rhythm. You get it from that demonstration. So it's a combination, yes, of the tablature, but also my demonstration during the lesson, and we just go one measure at a time. And the fact that you can read it at all, starting on something as difficult as this would be great. Most people would start with "Let It Be" by the Beatles, or "Hey Jude"
I can play
or
that one.
"Desperado" or something. Get you, but if you've read music before, it's going to start clicking because it's exactly the same. It's just no staff. If
Great.
that makes any sense.
And for I know this is going out there on a limb here, making predictions like this, but
Okay.
what's the major milestones, and how long would learning a song like this typically take for an average pianist?
Okay. It takes that all depends on your level of practice. How committed are you to this? Because I'm going to teach you, it's not just showing you what's going on, but showing you how to practice. Practice is repetitions, and if you're doing a good system, you're going to get good results. You can get great results in 10 or 15 minutes that if you do it the wrong way, an hour is going to be less profitable than that 10 or 15 minutes. So part of it is your willingness and how much time you're going to spend. The second is your how advanced are you at this level? What are you able to play? In a minute, you can tell me the most difficult thing you've played. That'll kind of give me an idea.
Mhm.
And yeah, but it's just hard. I can't really give a time on that. I think if you're probably more than average. You're saying average, but you're probably better than that. Um, how much time are you able to give to this today?
Well, I want to do it. So I'll say at least every couple of every day or two. So some days I'll miss because of other commitments.
Sure.
But at least like 30 minutes, I'll sit down probably before I get frustrated. Like, I want to go farther. I want to go farther. But there'll be periods where I'll sit down for an hour or more
Yeah.
and just really want to get it done, like on the weekend. So it'll be
Sure.
sporadic, but I think
Okay.
this one of those things like, like when you at my age and health wise, you just even just a 20-minute walk,
Yeah.
each day is the best thing you could do for longevity. And so 20 minutes a day, like a dozen a day, right?
Yeah.
Just to hit it, just to walk by and like, let me see if I can remember that part, that opening part there that Roy did, and just hit that a few times. That's what I'm going to commit to do.
Okay.
But I would love as we go through this for kind of some progress checks, saying, Rip, you came out of the gate fast. It's great, but you've slowed down here the last couple of weeks. So what's going on? So just be honest and be
Sure.
blunt.
Sure, we will, and we'll show show people, like you said, how the sausage is made. It's tough. It's full of mistakes, but then we get better, as time goes. But it'll be neat for people to see that progression. I know it will. So what I would say, I can't really give a prediction. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I just can't. But I would say 6 months is a good. If you'd have said 1 month or something, because some people are overzealous. 6 months is probably a good place to start. So let's just see where you are
Okay.
after a month or so. But for the first time, we'll set this up after my son will send you an email. We'll set up a time to
Okay.
start. Probably next week will be when I'll have time to start. And if you can just get, that first look at the first couple of lines of music, 2 or 3 lines. If you can do a page, great. But just see what you can start with, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. And I'll have you play a little bit, but I'm going to try not to put you on the spot or anything, but you will have to play so I can see what you're doing. And I'll play as well. But if you can have your camera where it's tilted down, like if someone were standing next to you on the
Yes.
right or something, and the camera's up high, looking down on the keyboard, so that I can see the keyboard well enough to see. I don't need to see the keys necessarily, but I need to see what your hands are doing,
Hands going.
and
Okay.
and your face in case you want to talk. You can look up, and I can we can connect that
Okay.
way. So
I'll work on that. I can send you a couple angle shots next. I won't be in this beautiful concert hall
okay.
next week. I'll be in my home in
I didn't
Nashville.
know if that was something you put up, if that was an actual place or something you
Virtual.
just put behind you, but it does look beautiful.
It's a virtual background just for
Okay.
you. But I'll have that set up next week, maybe at the end of next
Yes,
week. We can do
because a
something.
lot of times we'll start and then people haven't really figured out the camera, and so we spend 20 minutes just trying to get the camera right.
I'll
So
get it
that's
ready
that's
for you.
one thing that'll save time for us. I'm curious. I'm going to ask you one question.